Okay. Well, let's hop in here. It's wonderful to meet you. Thank you for taking a minute out today. I appreciate it.
I'm excited. Finally, we're doing it.
We are, absolutely. So let's begin our journey with this. Six
Okay.
years ago, this pandemic changed our lives. And I always begin with this question because it was such a big deal for the planet. How did you
Yeah.
get through that era, and how has it changed the way that you create and live today?
So how honest do you want me to be?
This is an honest platform.
Well, because I'll just say up front, I don't know your audience. I did not buy into it.
Okay.
That's how I did it. And my peers, I mean, I professionally kept my office open. I had lots of big gatherings, much to my son's chagrin, super healthy. I mean, if you want me to be that honest, I will
Sure.
be.
Sure. Yeah. That's all I
Okay.
want. Yeah, absolutely.
Okay. Yeah.
So that's good. No, I totally get it. And I think there was a lot of anomalies that went on in that time that made me wonder what was going on. Like you wore your mask all the way up until you actually had to eat and consume a bunch of fluid and food that was going to come out in bits after you were done. Didn't make any sense. There were so many things that didn't add up. The response wasn't unified. Anyway, there's so many ways that we can go with that, but we made it through. We're here now. So I want to get into the good work that you're doing on a regular basis. And
Sure.
to do that, kids always get the truth out of it. So I'm going to put you in front of 12-year-olds. It's career day, and the kids want to know, what do you do for a living? How do you answer them?
So my whole purpose is to empower people. And I'm a therapist and I'm internationally certified. And my passion is to give hope and empower. And so that means anybody that can understand that.
So
Now you said 12-year-old, so I'm there.
yeah, for sure. So what did you want to be when you were 12 years old?
Well, that's a good question. I actually did not ever think I was going to be a public speaker. I was very shy, and I am an introvert. I knew I would write a book. I always knew that. And I actually thought I would be a homemaker with a white picket fence and three kids. And that didn't happen, of course. And my passion, of course, because my dad, bless his soul, he's in spirit, and he was a high school teacher, also mechanic high school teacher. And so, we were put into academics, and I was back then. You had 4-year program, which was more applied and vocational, and you had 5-year, which was university and academic. Well, I he wanted me an academic. I'm firstborn Aries German. Hello. So I struggled in school. I worked so hard and memorized, regurgitated on the test, and then immediately forgot things because it's not what I wanted to do or be, and it wasn't my genius. I'm more ethereal. Like my genius is listening to people and just honing in onto practical things and techniques, and also figuring out the mystery of why people suffer. And my brain just works that way. And I'm also very much a creative. I spent the whole weekend creating, and I was so excited, and it's still exciting. I completed a big project that I'll be launching on my website. So again, it's yeah. So I hope I answered the question.
You did, you certainly did. So where were you born and raised?
Well, I'm born in Germany, so
Okay.
in Köln, Cologne. And my dad, this is so incredible. At 23, well, he had this vision for a long time, though. At 23, um, so he had two little kids, married to my mom, and his vision was to go to Canada always. And in 6 months, and we went over by boat. In
Hmm.
6 months, he had a job, an apartment, and enough money to have us come over by boat. And so, no cell phones, no internet, basically letters. I think they did have telephone, though it was very, very expensive. So, I'm not sure they talked very much. So,
Yeah.
yeah, so that I came over. So English is not my first language. However, it's also made me a wordsmith and I'm a writer.
For sure.
Yeah.
How did you acquire all these skills and to be so driven and helping people and writing and all these things that you do? Take me back to your childhood. What were you seeing? What were the seeds that were planted that were harvested into who you are today?
Wow. Yeah. One, I remember at about 4 or 5 years old, looking over the dresser and I looked in the mirror and I went, I'm ancient. And I mean ancient, so older than my parents. I've always had that feeling that I'm really, really old. Like, I mean, old, old. So I've had that. I was that kid that asked questions the adults just cringe, just, we'll get back to you kind of thing. And then the other thing that's driven me is the suffering. And so as a kid, I had migraines, flu symptoms. So I, um, I missed a lot of school. I was also in remedial reading, and I thought it was because that I didn't know English, though I switched words, switched letters, and then on top of that, German grammar is backwards to Canadian. And then I also switch numbers. Numbers are a nightmare for me. Now I'm trying to group them in threes, and that helps. It's better than twos. So that suffering as a teenager, as I was sharing, I'm very introverted. I actually lost hope. I stuttered a lot. And and because again, I just didn't fit in anywhere. My dad was like I said, he wanted the 5 year program, and I was better in conversation. I was better at home ec. I was better in creative writing and Spanish, which was conversational, and drama class and a creative writing course. I still to this day saved my life because I was checking out. I'm just going, I don't want to be here. My home life wasn't fun. I did a lot of cycling. I still am a long distance cycler. And so this suffering, and then fast forward it to my 20s, I would literally hide in a meadow and I do public speaking about this, that I would curl up in a fetal position, though I still did not understand it. I didn't have language for it. And then when I started to feel better, and that's all the language I had, I didn't know it was dysregulation. I didn't know what was going on. And I felt, honestly, Joe, I thought I had this big secret. I thought, I'm this nice person. I was working at a college. I was going to a college. I was teaching art courses. I started writing, and I've always been writing, and I started writing my first book. And again, this suffering and I've had good people in my life, thank goodness. And they saw something in me. And then I actually ended up writing my book before I got my master's because my brain was always like, there's this mystery, like, why did anxiety go away in seconds or minutes? And why did it last? And what was making me feel so sick? And then I learned that I actually have generalized anxiety. I'm highly sensitive. None of those are negative. And then I also learned that I have this very mild dyslexia. And now I just joke about it. And because I do public speaking, because I'm so passionate, I'm going, we need to talk about this. And there's easy ways, accessible ways to manage this and open it up. And can I say one more thing about creativity?
You go, please do. Yeah.
Yeah, so anxiety actually blocks learning in children. So that anxiety and it blocks creativity in all of us. And it's so important that we understand it and we can manage it, especially in this world that's so chaotic.
So talk to me a little bit about heroes, muses, inspirational forces that have allowed you to kind of overcome early adversity and to become who you are today, to find your true place.
My, a few of my heroes, I remember what comes to mind is my girlfriend's dad, and they didn't live far, a few blocks. And I remember him just looking me very seriously. And I think I probably was about 14. And he said, if you ever need anything or you ever need somewhere to go, you can come here. And he fixed my bike. He had time to fix my bike where my dad didn't have time. And obviously, I didn't spend much time at home. So that really, I remember that affecting me, and I was kind of puzzled by it. And the other was I have to go back to my drama teacher and my creative writing teacher. My drama teacher, he got me out of my shell. And I have had the privilege of years later telling him, and we re-met, which was great. And he kept a letter. I wrote him a letter. I did a big art letter for him. A 16-year-old, you can imagine, dear sir, I hate you and I love you. And you know what's so beautiful about that? He kept that letter on his desk.
Wow.
And he said it meant so much to him. And it actually gets my heart right now because in and he gave me a photocopy. He said, you're never getting the original. And what happened with him was what I realized after writing the book, after getting my degree in expressive arts therapy, that I modeled my facilitation after him. And we've had the pleasure of talking about it. And I said, sir, I said, I remember going into your classroom and he had Pink Floyd playing and he had us, we would be standing on the desk. And I said, you must not have been very popular. I mean, now I'm kind of thinking, putting these pieces together. And he goes, oh, yeah, I got a lot of grief. And of course, he would have been in his late 30s or 40s at the time. And what he would do, though, is he would walk into the classroom very quietly and he would look at us and he would just look around and we weren't ever in trouble. I mean, he really let us be and he just said, you know, we're going to do something different today. And he made it about us. He made it about empowering us. And now I'm getting emotional about it, but it changed my life. And from a kid that didn't want to go to school, that didn't want to participate, that wanted to check out. I mean, you got to know, I never answered questions. I didn't put my hand up, even though I did know. I ended up doing a soliloquy on stage and at the end of the year, and it opened my world that there was another world. And then my creative English teacher, she, because I've been writing since I could write, and she had us put all our little pieces of paper into a journal. And she said, everything you write is precious. And she really brought that out. And it was interesting. Yeah. So those two things had really, that shifted me to another place of creativity and expression. And then my girlfriend, who was the daughter of this father, she would play with a broad nib pen and she would do art. Now, she didn't put any energy into it. I was mesmerized by that. So those were big, big changes that I think kept me alive.
And we need those. There's always those inspirational forces that they may not know how magnanimous it is, but it's essential to keep everybody else alive to give us that inspiration. So let me ask you this. If you can meet one person on the planet right now that you find fascinating, inspirational, who would you love to meet and talk to right now?
Wow, that's a big one. Who would inspirational? Because I do have mentors and coaches. So inspirational that I haven't met.
Yeah.
Wow. So many come to mind, actually. I would love to have lunch with Tony Robbins. I would love to meet Dean Graciosi. I'd love to meet Joe Escobar or Jose Escobar, sorry. And I will meet them in person. Um, I think what I enjoy about the people I'm mentioning, and there's probably women too. Those came to mind, so
Sure.
I just popcorn it with you. I think. why I it would enjoy that is because they're so honest about their humanity, that they have struggles too. And I have met a lot of my mentors, so that was why it was kind of my brain is going, no, met,
Yeah.
have
Mm.
lunch, have done hiking with them, and because they're honest, and I'm honest too with my clients. Is just because I'm in that chair, I'm still human,
Hmm.
and my job is to be present. To be present with them. And if I do share something that's authentic, it's short. And the other thing is to be authentic. Like if I've only had to cancel 2 sessions in all my career because I was that dysregulated and I honestly could not pull it together to be present.
Yeah.
And then later made that because people pick up. And even if I've been busy, my clients will say, they'll look at, are you okay today? And I go, give me 3 minutes. Let's just sit and meditate. And then
Hmm.
I'm with you um, because we're connected.
Yeah.
We're so connected,
Yeah.
so connected.
Talk to me about your latest book.
Wow. Well, I've got it's more a project, but the latest, which latest? Um, I published 2 books, Anxiety Warrior Volume 1 and 2. I'm going to be published in another book that's a combination of leaders coming out in October. And the other thing that I just finished doing, and it'll be launched on my website, is a meditation series, an audio with music and resources that are based on my book and life experience. And again, it's life changing. I know it is, and there's so much love in that, and it is my life's work. So that would be the latest.
I
That was
gotcha.
just
I just wanted to make sure that we got, because I know that you're prolific. I wanted to get into what you've been doing lately. So, what is it? What's the energy for you every day to do this work? You're helping people. You have to get into the mind of the human condition, which can get murky. You have a soul. There's a lot of energy that goes into you making impact in people's lives. So, what is that energy, that hope, that light that you put out in the world every day to do this at a high level?
You mean where does that come from?
Yeah, what is it when the alarm clock does or doesn't go off in the morning? What gets you moving? What gets you saying, I'm going after today hardcore?
Yeah, and you know what's so interesting? I don't use an alarm clock. So this morning I did because I didn't want to miss my Cairo appointment and I slept in. I'm
Uh-oh.
such a good sleeper and I usually get up around 4:35. So for me, Joe, it's about asking different questions. Have I been in darkness and depression and I don't always wake up, like it's not a dance every day, though asking a different question. And the different question is, what adventure is going to happen today? What miracle is going to happen? And I'm open to that. And training, I do work at training my brain, my thoughts. And thank you for all the lovely things you said. Though we all have that. We
Hmm.
all have that perfect, beautiful, energetic soul. And energy is everything. So then I go back because I am a neuroscience geek and expressive arts is neuroscience. And so that my mind goes down that rabbit hole. And I'm fascinated with the brain that we can access. Okay, here's a crazy fact: 4 billion bits of information per second in our back office that we're processing. Like seriously. So knowing that, asking better questions, I have a very robust um, morning practice, daily practice. And sometimes, like this morning, because I slept in, it was only an hour. A lot of times it's 3 hours. And I revel in that because it's like this coming into gratitude. And then when you're in that space, that quantum field of setting intention, and then the stretches that I do, and it's like constant, that's the language I want in my head. And that brings me an energy. And the other piece of that is, you said about me speaking to children. I worked with children throughout this shutdown, and these kids wanted to commit suicide.
Hmm.
10-year-olds, if you can imagine, it's heartbreaking. And I wrote letters every week not never disclosing confidentiality, but writing to our government people. And I just went, you guys have to know what's happening in my office. Like, and it's not acceptable. And giving them hope. And to me, it's investing in our future. And that warms my heart. And when you ask me these questions, you know what Bill Hodwitz, I'm going to name him and honor him, um, what he gave to me, I'm going to give to others, and that makes me passionate. Is that we don't need to suffer, and that's why I'm on podcasts and I want to do more talks.
Yeah.
Is someone out there? Please don't ever give up. It's practice, and you can do this. You can do this.
Absolutely. I
Yeah.
totally agree. So let me ask you this. If you had a dream tonight, you ran into the 18-year-old version of you, you walked
Mm.
into a room and there was a film projector and you click play and a 60-second highlight reel of this life you've lived comes up. Is that young version of you going to believe that your life turned out this way?
Maybe not. However, I think she'd listen because she didn't have a mentor. And she didn't have a single strong mentor. I mean, looking back, I did have people looking after me. So if she would, just see that it's gonna be okay, and that this creativity, like it would be interesting. I'd really have to think about what 60 seconds I would say in that is about nurturing her creativity because she got kicked out of the house. I
Yeah.
mean, she was on her own, and it's pretty tragic in a way, and that struggle doesn't have to be that way, and yet I think whatever blessing I had, it's this drive that there's better things out there. I believed in that. I have always believed I was lucky. That never went away, that belief. And I believe what I've learned too about creative people is when you believe something, if you believe you're creative, you're creative. Henry Ford said, if you think you can, you can. And if you think you can get over this, you can. You can do it. And I believe in that. 100% is train your mindset, believe in it. Maybe that's what I'd say in 60 seconds.
Yeah. No, I get it. I totally get it. So when you look at that highlight reel of your life, what are you the proudest of?
The highlight reel,
Yeah. What
the
jumps out?
proudest, I'd say, well, my children.
Hmm. Sure.
They're excellent adults, and they're way ahead of where I would ever be. And then my first book, Loving Your Life.
So everyone has a perception of you. Family, friends, clients, colleagues, everyone that gets your books, that dives into different parts of your world, but you run the show. What's your perception of you? Who do you think you are?
Well, that's a good question for today, because I'm in a good space. Well, here's the thing, Joe, is I feel better now than I ever have in my whole life. And I've said I go to the chiropractor. I go because it's maintenance, so not because I have to. And he said that, and he's also a bit of a coach. Him and his wife are triathletes, so they coach me with the long distance cycling. And he just said, your back feels better than it has since you came back from when I traveled. And and our bodies, I believe our bodies are reflections of what goes on in our brains. So brain health. So what's my perception of myself? I think somebody that's very determined and lives out of love. Like everything. I mean, everything I do comes from love. It's yeah, and the determination.
So, as somebody that has a sense of adventure or wonder, if you could get into a time machine and go back in time and see one event in human history,
Ooh,
what would you love to see unfold before your very eyes? It wouldn't create a tear in time. You could see it and come back if you wanted to. Otherwise, you could hang out for a while. But it's the idea of seeing this one event. What would
just
be,
one.
well, I guess you
I
could,
thought about that. I'd love to go back. I mean, sometimes I think life was simpler, and yet maybe not. I think I'd want to go back a few thousand years, Maybe I'd want to go back to Greek or Egyptian times. Um, that would be something. I think it could be cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
So if anybody wants to get your books, they want to reach out, they want to see you speak, they want to hire you, any of the good business, questions, any of it, where do they go?
The easiest is my website, and I've simplified it. So lovingyourlifebook.com will get you whatever you, pretty much whatever you want. So lovingyourlifebook.com. Yeah, then you can even book a discovery call if you want to. There's free resources,
Okay.
whatever. Yeah, all those things that you said. So thank you.
You bet. And I will put those links in the show notes. So great for us to be able to catch up here. Thank you for taking a little time out. It was wonderful to meet you. Best of luck with everything. Keep shining in your life.
Yeah, you know what? I say that in my gratitude journal.
You do?
Shine bright, shine your
There
light.
you go.
I
So,
love it, Joe. And thank you that we finally met, and thank
yes,
you for your patience. So,
been an
thanks.
honor. Thank you so much.